Okay, terrific. We have a great crowd this morning, so welcome. Thanks everyone for joining us. If 9 o'clock has become an early hour for you, as it has for me during this crazy COVID period. Let me start. I'm Erin Courtney, and I'm with Earthling Interactive. And Earthling Interactive is a web application and website development organization. And beyond that, we really like to help folks with their business problems. And we'll be discussing one of those business problems today with Vince. So before we kick off, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So this is cool. We're part of Forward Fest. I love the Forward Festival. This is our, I believe, 4th year that we've hosted an event. And it's such a great event for community, entrepreneurship, innovation. And this year we've gone virtual, so that's something new. I want to thank all of the sponsors that have made it possible for us to host this meeting virtually and to reach out to so many of you. If everybody could go on to here, I think I can control that. I'm going to mute everybody. There we go. Vince, I believe you should be able to unmute yourself. Is that correct? Okay.
I am unmuted.
All right. Thanks all. So just a quick housekeeping. If you came in as part of Forward Fest through the app, you're all familiar with the app now. Please do that survey at the end of the at the end of the session, and that really helps us. We're doing 2 more sessions, so any feedback you can give today would be really helpful. If you're not entering as part of the Forward Fest app, we will be sending you a survey, and I would also really appreciate the feedback there. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping. Let me introduce you without further ado to Vince Rose. So I've been working with Vince. How long have we been working together, Vince?
5 years.
5 years. And I have been a great student of Vince's and learned so much from him, and I'm excited for you all to have the opportunity to learn from Vince today. He's our Director of Digital Marketing at Earthling, and I know Vince will go into this a little bit, but I just want to let you know that at Earthling, what you'll be hearing today really represents the types of services that we do. Digital marketing is a bit of a Wild West landscape, and our emphasis, because we have such strong background in web application and website development, is in infrastructure, so the technology that supports your digital marketing efforts in terms of your website and your integrations. So with that, Vince, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Erin. As Erin said, I'm Vince Rose. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing and also CRM Solutions here at Earthling Interactive. I have been in marketing and communications projects, working at agencies, at the university in the communications department, and here at Earthling Interactive. I've been involved in marketing and communications projects for about 20 years now. So, you know, the late 90s, let's put it that way, when it was all very young. There was no Google. So I think during this talk, we're just going to talk about, like Erin said, the different technologies that we've got. Starting with the basics, because we're not exactly sure where maybe some of you are at in your digital marketing infrastructure, and until the end when I'll show you some of the more sophisticated or complex things that we've done for clients, just to give you an idea of what's possible beyond just, you know, Google Ads or something like that. Okay, so I just want to start out going over, these are just a few of the questions that we've heard from people over the past 5 years since we've been doing a lot of SEO and infrastructure work for people. You know, why aren't we on the first page of Google search results? Why are people not checking out from our store? You know, or filling out our contact form to, you know, get in touch with a salesperson. You know, or after someone has bought something, how can I continue to engage them and get them to come back to the store? So you guys probably all have your own questions, your own situation, things that you're wondering.
That's me talking to my speaker.
Oh, we lost your audio.
Sorry, I got muted there for a second. Okay, so yeah, so these are just questions that we've got as people have come to us and we've talked with them. You know, I won't go over them again, but you know, you probably have your own variations of these questions that you've got in the back of your mind, and that's why you have joined this webinar here. So I'm going to go into like the very basics here, and this is where you really need to start in order to you know, build up and add on to your digital marketing here. So you're going to want to have a CMS, you know, one that you have access to or your agency has access to help you publish content there. And a CMS is a content management system like WordPress, Drupal, Magento, you know, something that a non-technical person is able to get content out there and make edits to. And this will be important when you're trying to work on some of your keywords and you know, your site structure and that sort of thing. As you get later down the line, you're doing you're like digging deeper into it. And the other thing is, you know, you can have a really great looking theme, but you know, that those themes don't necessarily provide you know, the proper markup for Google. You know, we've got what we call semantic markup, and if you've done a Word document, you know, we have header 1, header 2, header 3. You know, header 1 is like the main thing that your document is about when you're in Word. Well, it's the same for the web, you know, and then the next most important things would be header 2s. And then, you know, header 3s would be subsections of your header 2 section. So it's like an outline that helps both search engines understand what your page is about, and also like for accessibility too. It's they're two different purposes for having good markup in your theme. But if you've got good markup in your theme, then both cases will benefit from that. So accessibility is another talk, but you know, it still holds true for SEO as well. You know, these are the baselines here. You know, if you don't have these items, you know, you don't have access to your content, or you're not using a CMS, and the theme you have is not doing a good job of marking things up properly, even though it looks really great, you're going to have trouble building on some of these other levels of infrastructure that are coming up here. So it's just kind of like, you know, a basic car, you know, like you can't get from A to B unless it's got all the like functioning parts to drive it. So then the next thing that you should do, and this is what we do, is if they don't have it, if a client doesn't have this already or a customer doesn't have it already for a website, is, or if you're the owner of the website, you know, make sure that you have Google Analytics, an account, and that's installed. And then Google has another software product called Google Search Console. So, you know, what those two things do is that Google Analytics shows you how people are using the website, you know, where they're going to, what pages they're seeing, that sort of thing. And then Google Search Console, that is, both of these are free. That is a way for you to see how Google sees your website, because Google doesn't have eyes. It's not going to click around. It Google Search Console gives you, you know, a little insight into the algorithm that Google is using to spider your site. So, you know, you could be putting all this money into your website for digital marketing, but if you can't really see how your site's being used, or, you know, what other improvements you could be making on the content, then you can't really tell if your money is doing as much as it could be, or your digital marketing is as valuable to you as it could be. So these are two tools that are easy to install, or to have a developer install, and they're free. Here, I've got two graphics here just to give you, these are parts of our dashboard that we've got here, but you can see that there is, it gives you some insight into how a customer has done in the past 30 days. And then, we can start to see, okay, which of these traffic channels are most valuable here. So we've got, organic search, direct, which is somebody going right to the website, social, is your social media. And then other could be various other channels that you've got in the mix here. Okay. Next, we're going to go to level 2. So we talked about SEO here, and that's search engine optimization. It's the stuff you do that helps boost your page rank or where you appear in the Google search results. There are a few tools that you can use to help with your page rank, or at least do your best to boost your page rank. If your business is super competitive, that's where some of the research comes in. But this image here is Yoast SEO for WordPress. That's one of the extensions of modules that can be installed in WordPress to help you edit some of your rich snippets. Drupal, if you have a Drupal site or Drupal commerce site, has different modules that you can use. Magento has a lot of SEO built in. It's basic SEO, just like WordPress also has some basic SEO, like with URLs and stuff. But you can also buy extensions for Magento as well. Those are things that you can install on your site. Now, these other three pieces of software, Screaming Frog is a site spider. So you can say, you can go into one of their dashboards and enter your website address, and it will spider your site. The free version is up to 500 URLs, but it'll start to give you some insight into how your page is structured, and how your site is structured. Other things like it does some page speed stuff too. So that's Screaming Frog. Then a tool we use is called Moz, Moz.com. It lets you do keyword research. So if you're wondering, if there's certain terms that you have in your mind that you want to be ranking for, Moz will help you determine, or help you see where you currently are ranking in Google, but also start to look at some of the other keywords that may be less competitive that you could be boosting your page rank in. So Moz has a free trial for 14 days if you want to check that out, unless they discontinued it. But it's been 2 weeks of free trials for quite some time. The next one is Google Page Speed Insights. So this is a free tool that also Google has that you enter your website, and like if you want to check out your home page, you enter in just your domain name and have it analyzed, and it'll tell you things like if you have scripts on your web page or in your theme that are blocking the page from rendering, so it's slowing it down, images that are too big, and so you're wasting download time for people, that sort of thing. So it gives you some suggestions about how to speed up your site, and it'll do mobile and desktop as well. So, those are some of the tools that you can install yourself or, run yourself right now just to check things out there. I'm just going to show you what a couple of these reports look like. So this is a Screaming Frog report here. So, you can see some of the things that the search engines see here. So when we're talking about rich snippets, go back to this Yoast, you can see the page title right here, the web address obviously, and then our meta description. If you go to the Screaming Frog report, you can see that it's indexed the site and broken that out. So, we've got our title here. We've got our meta description. There's some other data in here along with a bunch they have like all kinds of stuff, overview, site structure, response time, spelling and grammar. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff in here that it'll help you see how a search engine sees your site, or see if you're missing something that could be improving your SEO there. This next screen is what a Moz report looks like. This is where we're setting up some keywords inside of Moz, just to see, hey, where our page rank was. Moz will do, if you get a subscription to it, it'll do month to month. So you can see if you're going up or down in certain keywords since the last month. So, that's the SEO part of it, of what you can do with your website. After you have the basics down, you can do some analysis, and then you can start to do some fine tuning of your content here to help with your SEO page rank. So that's stuff that you can totally do yourself with your website and with some other tools that are out there, just to get an idea of how your site is being perceived by search engines. The next thing that we talk about with customers is leveraging a CRM. A CRM is a customer relationship management database or software. There's you want to get your clients in there if you can. If you're using an Excel spreadsheet, that's great for keeping a list of contacts, but these CRMs really can take care of a lot of the, not only keeping track of your customers, but then also doing things like sending them welcome email or, drip campaigns, or sending, follow-up emails as they move through, say, your sales pipeline or something like that. It gives you a way to really start to get into the details of some of your customers, and down to a personal level of understanding them. You can see how much they're communicating with you, that sort of thing. And then you can also put, with these CRMs, they also let you create forms, like intake forms for your website. So, like a contact us form or something like that. You can create those in your CRM and then put that on your website. And then when somebody fills it out and hits, get a hold of me or whatever your button says, it'll create that record inside your CRM. So you don't have to get an email, copy, and then paste it into an Excel spreadsheet, or take it out of your website and then put it in an Excel spreadsheet. Like, you can put the form right on the site and it will, add somebody to your CRM software. So a lot of these CRMs also have plugins. These are three of the main ones that we work with: HubSpot, Salesforce, and Salesforce Pardot, and then SharpSpring. Especially HubSpot. HubSpot maintains their own WordPress plugin that lets you tie existing forms to your HubSpot account. So you can see how they're doing and get records from forms you already have or applications you already have into HubSpot pretty easily. And then it'll pull details back into your WordPress dashboard. So it's pretty cool. There are other ways to embed forms from all three of these. Just if you create a form, you can copy and paste like a little snippet of text and paste it into your CMS, or email it off to your developer for them, or your agency or whoever, to add to your website. So it's pretty easy to set up. And a lot of these forms are just drag and drop, so they're easy to create as well. you know, and then create campaigns and all kinds of other stuff around it. So if you haven't seen a CRM before, this is an example of a Salesforce, what their CRM looks like. You know, it's got a list of contacts here, and, you know, I can start to move them through the sales pipeline. If I want to, I can change the contacts. They can be shared with other people. You know, you can create other workflows based on what somebody is doing on the site. You know, just it really lets you get into seeing how a person is using your website or how you're interacting with a customer. Like on a, let's say on a personal level, but you know who they are. Google Analytics anonymizes some of the, well, all the things that you would see inside a Google Analytics dashboard. But when it comes to your CRM, you know, you can see who the customers are. You know, if you're using marketing automation, if they've opened an email, if, you know, they visited the site, if they've, you know, if you sent them an email, you can actually tie these to your email account. So if you're communicating with a customer, all that activity, that customer activity gets tracked, and you can see when you log in how that customer may be feeling about a project, or, you know, these CRMs will create engagement scores, so you can see which customers are most engaged and closer to buying. That sort of thing. So it takes the Excel spreadsheet and then, you know, just amps it up, because there's so many things that you can do in these software systems to, you know, communicate with customers and see how they're behaving when you do interact with them. So those are just, you know, some of the tools that you can have. You know, now we've got your website, we've got seeing how your website's being used. We have some SEO information and doing more with your information, or writing better content for keywords you want to rank for. And now we've got ways to also keep track of your customers or your clients, and, you know, see some of their behaviors as well. Okay. So those items, we can put all those together and then create something that's a little bit more sophisticated. So at this point, I'm going to show you how all those different pieces kind of come together. This, you'll see a simplified version of this, but we've worked with the University Division of Continuing Studies for probably, geez, it must be a couple of years now, among other university departments. But they have a little bit more complex ways of communicating with their customers, because they have a lot of, or with enrollees, I'm sorry, because they have a lot of people coming and checking out their stuff. So this is a basic form that we've got here, and you can see that electrical engineering is filled in. And so you know, just keep that in the back of your mind when I show you this next slide here. In this slide, in this example, we have their digital marketing campaigns. So, you know, it could be, you know, banner ads. It could be Facebook. It could be, you know, an email or something like that. Basically, you know, they have a digital marketing campaign for engineering. So, for the sake of the simplified diagram, let's just say that these are banner ads that they're running for each of the different engineering programs here. So they run those ads. An interested enrollee or potential student is interested in electrical engineering. They click on that ad. We then send them to an engineering landing page. So this landing page will have general content that applies to everybody. So, you know, deadlines, you know, data about the School of Engineering, you know, like what the job prospects are, possibly, top employers, that sort of thing. And we can actually, because we know that they're part of the electrical engineering campaign, we can tailor that content on that page specifically for the electrical engineering program. So, not only will there be general information about engineering, but they've also written copy that's specific to electrical engineering, so that it dives a little bit deeper into what that program in particular is like in the universe of the School of Engineering on campus here. So it personalizes that engineering landing page a little bit more, because we know that they're doing, say, research on electrical engineering programs because they click the banner ad there. So then we have this yellow box here, and that's just represents the form that you saw on the previous page here where it says electrical engineering. And because they filled out, or once they fill out that form, we know what program they're enrolled in, and that gets sent off to Salesforce, and it kicks off a workflow where an enrollment coach can reach out to this potential enrollee on campus, say, like, if you have any questions, here's a few more facts about electrical engineering at the university's School of Engineering, that sort of thing. So it's not just like, thanks for submitting. It's kicking off, a little bit more personalized work email, or I'm sorry, a more personalized email for that person, having to do with the topic that they're interested in. The other thing that we do in this case is, if they click electrical engineering, they go to the web page. Under the hood, we're setting a cookie, so that if they were to come back to the page to the home page to do more research, like, we can't necessarily guarantee that they're going to see that ad again, but they will remember, say, the URL, because they either have it in the back of their mind, or it's in, the email that they received. But we start to personalize the homepage as well. So we'll bring up, the latest blog posts that have to do with electrical engineering. So there's, if somebody just visits the site and they haven't visited a program page, they get just the most recent blog posts. But if they have visited a program page, then we know that what topics they're interested in, and we have a little bit more data about that person's things that they're looking for. So we can tailor the homepage then, like we did with the landing page. We can tailor the homepage with the most recent blog posts about a topic that they want to read about, or are possibly researching. It just gives them a little bit, gives them that facet of electrical engineering as part of the larger professional development and certificates programs here at the university. There. So that's the overall diagram, just to help simplify or show you a more simple workflow here, or graphic. We've got the digital marketing campaigns. Here we've got the engineering landing page with targeted content that shows them not only general engineering content, but also content that's specific to electrical engineering, and information there. And then if they just happen to go to another place on the site, say the homepage, we can pull up recent blog posts for that same topic. So, there are other pages on the site that are relevant to them, and we bubble those up to different places on the website to give them some more exposure and help give the person an idea of what else is going on campus related to the program they're interested in. Then if they fill out the form, they're a little bit more engaged. That form goes into Salesforce. We know what program they are because they're interested in. Part of the reason that we default to that program name is so that the chances are much less that they're going to say, oh, what did I click on? You know, why am I here again? Just if it's not obvious, or, you know, for some reason they're having trouble remembering it, by filling in that little piece of information, it, you know, increases the chances of success of them filling out that form. So that form goes into Salesforce. An enrollment coach is assigned to that that opportunity. And so now this person is shown as somebody who's possibly interested in the program. So Salesforce tells the enrollment coach. Salesforce also sends an email to the student or potential student to say, you know, hey, thanks for your interest. Here's some other things that you may be interested in, or, you know, there might be some upcoming deadlines that you need to know about, that sort of thing. So that's just how one of these flows might go for Salesforce there. And so then in the end, again, you know, you can see how it all kind of comes together there. So that's an example of something that's like complicated and a little bit more related to digital marketing. There's other like non-traditional or digital marketing that maybe you wouldn't consider, like ads, for example, or posts that we've done for other customers. So I'm just going to show you one other customer to give you an idea of the other things that we can do with a CRM here. And this is also going to be Salesforce. Here we have another customer called, or their name is Filing. They do research for programs at credit unions. And credit unions have to actually become members of Filing's research program here. It gives them access to things like their reports, events that are coming up, you know, speakers, some other membership benefits that come with being a member of Filing. So in order to, and membership organizations purchase it, and then all the employees have access. So in the case of Filing, we're using their CRM, which is Salesforce, to manage membership to their, or manage access to members only content here. So somebody signs in, we check to see if their organization's membership is up to date. If it is, then we let them in. If it's not, then we say, it seems like your organization's membership has expired. Please reach out to our membership team to get your access reinstated. If somebody is a member and they want access to the reports and they're not signed in, we do the same thing. They click sign in to read an item. We put them through the login process, check their membership, and if they are a member, then we provide them the documents that they have. So it's just another way that a CRM is not only for like managing contacts in a website, but we can start to use it to do other things like check gated content there. The next thing is another Filing project that we did. This is their marketing automation system, or this is not their marketing automation system. They use Salesforce Pardot for marketing, for some of their marketing automation and sending emails and things. But we have, when somebody reads a report, we're sending that data to Salesforce Pardot. And I'm just gonna take a quick time out here to explain, there's Salesforce and Salesforce Pardot. Salesforce is the CRM, content relationship management system. Salesforce Pardot is the marketing automation system, and they talk to each other, but they're acquired at different times. So they have two different products there, and you can use Salesforce Pardot without using Salesforce as your CRM, but if you do use them together, they can talk to each other and share marketing activity with your Salesforce team there. So anyways, time in here. When somebody reads a report, that information gets sent to Pardot. Pardot then can say, okay, this report was downloaded, X amount of times, and it also tracks who read what report. So now we can create lists, marketing automation lists, based on the people who've downloaded certain reports, or even get into more detail about how maybe a credit union, their employees are using the system, or which reports they're interested in, because then there could be a topic that a credit union is really interested in, and filing can reach out to them and provide some other services, or maybe a speaker, or identify an event that's coming up that people at that organization may be interested in. So this dashboard actually lives inside their content management system. Like, you could poke around through Pardot and write things down and create your own reports out of it. But yeah, it takes a lot of manual work. So we're using the API, in this case, the application endpoint, to get the information back out, compile it on a daily basis so that filing can see what's going on. And then they can keep a historical record of this. It demonstrates the value of the research to organizations, on top of being able to provide even better service to their member organizations, because they can see what specific people are interested in, or specific organizations are interested in. So anyways, so that's just another example of where beyond digital marketing and ads and posts and things like that, like, these systems can be really powerful to understand what your customers are doing, and provide or show you opportunities that you can take advantage of when you're talking to them and making sales. So that's my last presentation slide that I've got. So I just want to say thanks for coming. Yeah, I think,
Questions?
yeah, see if there's any
This
questions
is
here.
a great chance. Okay, I've got a question here. I'm just going to read them to you. If you type your questions in the chat, I'll share them out. So, what's considered a good conversion rate, and what things can you do to increase conversion rate? There's two questions here, Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to answer that one, and then I'll follow up?
Sure. Yeah. The curve, I don't want to say it depends, but it depends. If you're talking about, say, you sell, pencils or something like that, or pencils is a bad example. But if you're selling something that, say, maybe has a broad appeal, and you spent your digital marketing, like in Google Ads, you can see how much your advertising is costing you for each conversion. So that's one way that you can judge it. If you're selling like Lamborghinis or enterprise software systems, you may have a lot of people visiting the site, but they're not necessarily the people you want to have convert. So your conversion rate could be low, but each one of those conversions, the value of that conversion can be really high. So, and you would treat somebody who's buying, if you have a lot of customers who are buying something that has a low profit margin, you're going to operate differently than if you have somebody who's making very large purchases for a very niche kind of product there, and that's so
Yeah,
It depends.
it depends.
But it is, you know, depending on what you're selling, you know, there's, you can see, you know, what is typical for your industry for a conversion. A lot of that stuff is online. So, you know, you can see the important part is that it goes up, you know.
Right.
So,
The investment that you make in your
right,
infrastructure should
right,
produce results. So
right.
it's
Yeah.
relative. There's a follow-up question, so I'm going to ask that for you,
Okay.
Vince. And please file your questions. We have a lot of people here, so I'd love to find out what you're thinking. Okay, next question. How do you think solid UX UI interacts with marketing principles in terms of increasing engagement and revenue with clients?
I I think very much, because you want to have, and this a little bit as it goes to the SEO question, because you want to have your site organized in a manner that makes sense, and you want to have content that's relevant. Um, you also you want to think about what you want people to do on your site, and that will inform your UI and UX. So you want it to be easy for them to do that. You know, you don't want to make them have to hunt and peck for things. There's actually, I didn't talk about it in this presentation, but there are products that let you try out experiments like that, like A/B testing to see how they do. So there's Google actually has one called Google Optimize, that lets you do stuff like try out, you know, or tweak your UI UX to see how that affects your conversions.
Next question, Vince. How much can you impact your SEO with best practices on a site built pre-mobile get-in? I think that's a term about like that it's a not responsive site. Is that what
Oh,
I think that might be what Jessica's.
yeah, I think for sure Google takes whether something is mobile friendly into account when it's ranking a site. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that go into that, but they definitely have announced very publicly that mobile friendly sites like that, having a site be mobile friendly affects page rank. You know, you can still do some of the other best practices if you're not going to do a whole site redesign, or a rebuild so that it's mobile friendly.
This is where I would imagine markup and accessibility are probably pretty key, right? And
Yeah,
those are things you want to do
for sure.
regardless.
For sure. Yeah, you do. And those are the best practices for both desktop and mobile. You know, the other thing is you can look at your Google Analytics, you know, if you get that installed, because that'll break down the types of devices that people are coming to your site to see the site. So if, say, you've got an application that has a specific market, and they're doing it 9 to 5 and they're on their laptops or their desktops, you know, you may have, it's probably may not necessarily be true, but because of the nature of your application, you know, you may have a lot more desktop viewers than other sites might. So does that help? Like you have to determine the value. Then if you're just talking about search, for sure, mobile plays a piece of it. If you're talking about you know, who your audience is, you know, it may not be necessarily phone users
Priority.
that you're trying to help. So
Next question, Vince.
mhm.
For someone who's starting a business and doesn't have a huge budget, what would you say are the bare minimum marketing components you'd put in place at a low cost? Great question, by the way.
Yeah, I would say going back to the beginning of the presentation is if you're gonna have an online presence, right? So when you're determining how to build that site, you know, look at those things like make sure you have a content management system where you can, you know, enter content. Like the Yoast SEO plugin, they have, if you're doing WordPress, they have a free version of the plugin that will let you do some of that SEO work right inside WordPress. Magento also has a lot of stuff built in. So there's inexpensive ways to do it if, just to get your website house in order and help with your SEO. And then, there's the other things that are out there that are, Facebook, having a Facebook page, tweeting, like there's a lot of stuff you can do to start to build things up.
Well, I know we might sound like we get kind of repetitive here, but I think it's get that markup and think about accessibility. So something Vince and I were talking about when we were preparing for this was your search engines are doing their best to replicate what it is that a person would experience, and so they are looking at all these
content. Yep.
They're looking at these signals. Doesn't really cost you anything except time. It does take time, right, Vince, to be really conscientious. So it also gets back to that mobile question, I would say as well. Like the UI question. If you put your energy into really good markup, even if it's not the sexiest site in the world, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vince, you're going to see a lot of value out of that because the search engines are going to preference your site.
Sure. Yeah. And it's, it has to do with content, providing valuable content, providing a valuable service. In this presentation, you can take for no cost except maybe hosting and domain name. You could do WordPress site. You could get Google Analytics installed to see how people are using your site. You can get Google Search Console installed. You can get, a limited version of Screaming Frog to see how the markup is and how it's doing. Google PageSpeed Insights is free, so you can get free advice about improvements you can make to the site. And then even HubSpot has a free tier of CRM, of content relationship management software, which will give you stuff like the form. So, and then you've got the social media stuff where you don't have to actually necessarily buy an ad. I mean, you want to start thinking ahead to things like that and, making it more complex. But there are ways to go from the basics to what I call level 3 here for very little, like out-of-pocket cash for licenses and that kind of thing. So yeah, time is really the what you have the most of, and you can, contribute to your digital marketing, and then still see how it's doing for very little out-of-pocket costs. Yeah. So
yeah,
hope that helps.
Oh, a little follow-up question there. Can you explain more about the accessibility concept? I'm going to tell you something, Marissa. You happen to have an expert here in Vince. We only have 10 minutes, so.
Yeah, I'd be happy to give another talk about this. So put it on your list, Aaron. Accessibility is near and dear to my heart. One, I'm getting older and my eyes are getting worse. So, there's that. But at the university, I worked on WCAG compliance for the IT department there, and helped out on campus with that sort of thing. So there are sites like Wave Aim, if you just type in Wave Aim accessibility tool, that will let you test the accessibility of your site, but it's the same.
Let's back up here. Let's back up, Vince. Accessibility is
super accessibility. When we're talking about accessibility, we're talking about in the legal, well, in the law or the guidelines, we're talking about what's called WCAG, which is the Web Consortium Accessibility Guidelines or something. I think that's what it is. It used to be called Section 5A, but basically it means that somebody who is blind, that they can use your website or your application. If somebody is deaf and you have video on your site or podcasts, they can also get that information. It means that somebody who is not fully abled can also use your website and not have any trouble. You know, it's a great example is when in the UK where somebody who was blind was trying to use a bank's website, but because it was not accessible, they couldn't do anything with their money. Like, yeah, they just, you know, like it's that sort of thing. I mean, that's the UK, not the US, but it's the same idea. Like, you want somebody who can't see or hear needs to be able to know what's going on the screen. So there's some basic principles that you do that you use, like low contrast, that sort of thing. So you can see how it fits into search here. Just real quick, you know, we have title 1, that's the header 1. A screen reader, when somebody comes to a page, will say home, Earthly Interactive. When a search engine comes to the page and they see, you know, an H1 or title 1, they say home, Earthly Interactive. In both cases, the person in the search engine know that's what this page is about, is that this is Earthling Interactive's homepage. And then when you get down into the other headers, you know, like say e-commerce or SEO, if we had a header 2, okay, this is on the homepage, this is the section that has to do with e-commerce or SEO. And I can expect the content underneath to be about that. So that's where the two are similar in a lot of ways.
They really
have benefits to both by doing
yeah,
this.
you're both doing the right thing by accommodating all audiences. And there are some laws around that as well, but you should want to do that. You don't want to miss on any opportunity to, you know, get a customer or client because you don't have an accessible site. And then also it's twofer because your SEO preferences all of the good practices that you put in place for accessibility. So it's kind of the low hanging fruit that's overlooked. Would you say that, Vince?
I think more and more it is, thanks to organizations like the National Federation of the Blind holding people accountable. But yeah, it's something that if you do, you get benefits in both cases by having your code and your web page set up the correct way. So.
Do we have any more questions? We still have quite a few people on the call. It means that I think we're giving you some value. Any other questions? Because we want to respect your time. Throw it up in the chat. Okay, yep. Vanessa, yes, we'll be posting both the slides and a video because we're recording the presentation today. Also, I want to let everyone, sure. I also want to let everyone know that we're happy to answer questions through email. You know, you might not have thought of something immediately, but whatever level of specificity, go ahead and shoot us a message. We're first and foremost problem solvers. We just happen to have technology as our toolkit that we solve those problems with. So we're happy to hear from any of you. If you've registered through Eventbrite, you'll get a follow-up communication with us. If you did not, then please either reach out to me through the app if you're a ForFest guest, or you can go to our website and get our contact information, and that's earthlinginteractive.com. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Vince.
Yeah, thank you. No, that was fun.
Yeah, and my apologies for the waiting room issues. You know, we're all getting better at this every day. So it was really fun to have you all here. Take care. Have a great day.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.